Hi, I'm Delano, and this is the Becoming Journal. I wanted my first video to be an offering and not an announcement. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. So I'm going to be reading a Substack that I wrote at the beginning of this year called Becoming Again, on winter, embodiment, and becoming without urgency. It is a new year, but it is still winter. I keep seeing messages about reinvention, discipline, new habits, new bodies, new lives, as if January exists outside of the natural world, as if we are not still in the season of cold, of dormancy, of quiet preparation. Do not let global warming fool you. Winter is still winter. This is not the time for grinding or forcing or proving. This is the time for reflection, rest, and recalibration. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. Seasons exist for a reason, and I'm learning to honor the seasons within myself. The way I began this year feels like a reflection of the year that I'm entering. I was asked to facilitate intention setting and a journaling practice during a plant medicine ceremony at a space rooted in intentional rest and creativity. I was surrounded by people who are also on their own journeys of remembering themselves. It was slow, it was reverent, it was deeply human. I felt more aligned in that space than I ever have before, not because I was performing or leading, but because I was present. I woke up the next morning with a deep sense of knowing, a day filled with yoga flow, singing outside, making music in community, eating delicious food, and having conversations that felt like exchanges of breath rather than effort. I moved through the day as a vessel, not a controller. God met me there again and again through other people. I'm learning that alignment does not arrive with urgency. It arrives with steadiness, with confirmation, with peace in the body. Over the past few weeks, I've had long and honest conversations with my family, the kind where you stop editing yourself for comfort. I spoke openly about my queerness, not as a rebellion or a divergence, but as something divine, something that did not happen by accident, something that exists to expand consciousness within my lineage and beyond it. I'm beginning to understand the function of my queerness in my life. It disrupts the quiet agreements to live the life others imagine for you. It refuses the script that says safety comes from sameness. It calls me back into my body, into choice, into truth. It has taught me how to listen inwardly instead of constantly seeking permission outwardly. It has made me a bridge, a translator, a catalyst. This is the year I stop negotiating my existence. This is my year of being brazen, of going 10 toes down on my dreams, of getting out of my head and into my body. I'm becoming the most embodied version of myself. I am killing the cop in my head. For a long time, I thought my throat chakra was blocked, but what I'm realizing now is that it's been loyal to other people's comfort, loyal to other people's expectations, loyal to preserving peace at the cost of my own happiness and destiny. That loyalty ends here. This is the year I stop trying to fit myself into anyone else's hopes, dreams, desires, or systems that do not serve me. Every day I receive confirmation that I'm walking in alignment. I trust my body as a reliable source of information. I trust the quiet yes and the embodied no. I'm also learning how much conditioning lives in my nervous system. Growing up in a collectivist culture where you're seen as a reflection of your parents and family, what will people think was not a question, it was a governing principle. Add to that a version of Christianity rooted in surveillance, shame, and fear, and you get a body that struggles to fully rest. A body that's always scanning, always bracing, always performing goodness. I'm undoing that, slowly and with care. The other day, I finally went to a rage room, something I've been saying I would do for years. I needed the physical act of swinging my body, of releasing anger without justification, of letting sound move through me. It was freeing in a way that words could not be. Afterwards, I gave myself an entire day alone, walking, sitting, wandering, being present, not narrating my experiences for others, not turning every moment into content or language. That was harder than I expected. I kept reaching for my phone, kept wanting to document, wanting to explain, wanting to share. I am becoming hyper aware of how often I leave my body to live in interpretation. This year is about staying with sensation, staying with breath, staying with what is here instead of what might be said about it later. During the journaling session I guided at the start of the year, I wrote something that I keep returning to. I'm standing at the precipice of greatness. The past year has taught me so much about myself, God, and my purpose. Being here is proof that I'm walking in alignment. I am beyond blessed and highly favored. May I stand tall like a magnolia tree. May my light shine bright. May I be protected. I leave behind overthinking, shrinking, and dimming. I choose faith. If I allowed myself to relax, I would hear my own voice. The more I rest, the more I receive. Joy is my birthright. I've been journaling a lot about pleasure lately, not as indulgence, but as embodiment. Pleasure as ease, pleasure as slowness, pleasure as dancing and feeling the music gently settle into my bones. Pleasure as savoring food, pleasure as experiencing the fullness of being human without shame or guilt. Shame and guilt are not innate to us. We were not created that way. I've been thinking a lot about Eve and the garden, about how religion can be a tool of control, about how pleasure is often misnamed as danger. Pleasure is sensuality, not just sexuality. It is aliveness. I'm also discerning the difference between rest and avoidance, between honoring the season and hiding from my calling. Doubt is a quiet poison for me. It makes me fold inward. It makes me small. I'm learning to hold things sacred before they're ready to be touched by too many hands. I am like a butterfly. Too much handling will damage the wings. Not everything needs to be shared immediately. And still, being seen is part of my path. I recently attended my friend Kanaya's exhibition, Iris in the Shadow. It was one of the most intentionally curated shows I've experienced. What stuck with me most was not just the depth of the work, which explored queer sexuality, mental health, violence, family, and selfhood, but it was who was in the room. Her Southern Christian family, her mother, her grandmother, her great-grandmother, bearing witness. I left feeling tender, hopeful, grieving, and praying at the same time. I pray that as I continue to expand, my own family will one day see my work, not as a threat, but as an offering. My queerness is not here by accident. It is here to widen the world. It is here to heal something that could not be healed any other way. As I step into this year, I'm committed to simplicity, to communicating with clarity, to letting my life speak instead of constantly defending it. I cannot control how others perceive me. I'm done contorting myself in anticipation of misunderstanding. I'm here, I'm becoming, again. Winter is still winter, and beneath the soil, something is already growing. With love, Delano. Thank you for listening. I will be sharing more reflections like this. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't.